And welcome back on in, everybody, to Black in a Flash summer speedrunning celebration of Juneteenth. If you want to learn more, type in !Juneteenth in chat for the full schedule and visit gdq.gg/bf or visit Blue Sky to learn how you can get involved with such wonderful speedrunning opportunities. But today we are joined by some absolutely wonderful people for our last run of the night and some black brilliance on the commentary couch. Why don't we go and take a look at Super Namu, who is doing one of my favorite games of the year, South of Midnight. Not only a bop of a game, but some boppin' tunes and an any % no accessibility Weaver run. This is going to be one you don't want to miss, with Pikachulita on the couch along with PopNoTarts. And without further ado, why don't we let them take it away?
Hello, hi, I am Super Namu, and I am joined by Pikachulita and PopNoTarts, and I'll be running South of Midnight. You guys want to introduce yourselves properly for me?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Robinson Mays, and I am actually the community manager for Compulsion Games, the developers of this wonderful little game that Namu is going to be running for us this evening. And I'm super excited to be here and be joined by PopNoTarts on the commentary couch.
Hi, everybody. I'm Pop. Y'all saw me kick off the day earlier with the PSO2 NGS run, and I'm back. Namu asked me to tag along, and it's an honor to be here with Pika on the couch, as well as Thor with the host. I'm ready to see Namu play this game, as, you know, I already went through it, and I was thinking about speedrunning it. You know, Namu just beat me to it. It's okay.
No, literally a week after the game came out, I was like, I'm running this. I don't care. I fell in love with this instantly, and telling Pop while in the middle of the stream, I'm going to learn how to run this after I finish beating it. So
yeah, I remember when you came in and you were just like, you think this is speed runnable? And I was like, it should be. Anything is. And you're like, I'm going to run this.
So before we get started, this is the Weaver category, which is the difficulty, which is basically normal, but this is also no accessibility. And what we mean by that, by going into the options and accessibility, all the way at the bottom, you are able to skip combat and boss, and we're not doing that. We have that turned off. That is a whole different category. Makes the game super easy and much faster. And even though this is a glitch run, we are still going to do combat and bosses. But not all the bosses, which you'll see. So we'll get started. Time will start as soon as the screen shows Hazel in a couple of seconds. You have a couple of scenes to skip through.
I will say it was really exciting to, you know, when we had launched the game, and, you know, I was definitely, me being part of the marketing team, you know, I was, let's go for it. It was very exciting to, you know, actually know the individual that was that I saw that sort of announced that they're going to be doing the speed run for this, which was Namu. So I was really excited. I was like, wow, okay, I know her. This is fun. I love it.
I asked Mama for a dog and got this thing
Crouton,
instead.
my son.
I know he's weird looking, but I can't help but love him.
So we're basically just skipping through the intro dialogue here and getting a sense of who Hazel and her mom is, and you get a little clue of Crouton on the couch there. I'm sorry to anyone who's a big fan of Crouton, you won't really see much of him in this run.
Yeah, I remember you cheering where you were just like, we can skip some of the crouton stuff. I'm like, Namu.
You know, I don't think anybody's ever going to complain about not having to yeet the baby, because I know personally, I feel terrible every time I do it. And even though I know it's not hurting him, it's a mental thing you can't get over, right?
So I
just always looked at it as...
which was found by some people in the community. You can actually squeeze our way under this tree branch here and go straight into out of bounds. I can't tell you how this works. I don't know how it works, but it
there
does.
There we
go. We go forward and I just spam right and jump to the left every couple of seconds if I don't squeeze immediately. And that's how we get into out of bounds immediately in chapter 1.
Yeah, and this essentially bypasses, you having to go through kind of Prospero and kind of weaving through all of the flying debris that's kind of flying through the town and having to kind of cut through the mausoleum.
T-posing mom and grandma right here.
I'll tell you one thing, watching these speedruns, definitely even as somebody that worked on the game, like I even learned stuff because I didn't know those character models were over there.
It's actually hilarious.
I've always wondered that with like doing glitch runs, because I like a while back I did like the glitch run for Sonic Frontiers, and they actually patched the game, and we had to learn a new glitch for the first boss because there was a wall you could just glitch over, and then when they did the patch they added a second wall, so we had to figure out how to get past both walls. So I've always been curious. So I'm like,
it's pretty funny because we knew about these speed runs. We've known about them since I think we first started seeing them on YouTube, and I think our team was kind of curious to see if anybody has speed run it yet. And we saw like the glitch strats and people completely falling through the map, and nobody was like, hey, we're gonna go in and patch that, because I think a decent number of us are actually like regular GDQ viewers. So I think we thought it was cool, and we were just like, oh wow, that's I didn't actually know that was possible. It was like you guys were teaching us so much stuff. So nobody ever had kind of the desire to go in and patch it. We just left it because we thought it'd be cool, I think. So.
And that's the end of chapter 1, you guys. We skipped the entire town. We skipped, unfortunately, the story, which, by the way, if you're afraid of spoils, don't worry. You won't know what's happening at all. We skipped 90% of the story. But we did, he ran past Grandma Bunny's house, and our mom's missing, by the way, which, you won't know anything about that except for the little dialogue here and there from Hazel.
So essentially, we only have the information from the trailers when the game was introduced. Mom's missing, we gotta go find her.
And this chapter, this is the only chapter besides chapter 14, but this is the only chapter where there are no skips or out of bounds, because as much breaking of the game as we've done, for some reason, we get soft lock every time. So they're still working on trying to figure out how to get past this chapter, but as of right now, this is the most normal of the game you'll get.
I believe
I'm just waiting for somebody to find that one polygon that allows you to do it.
Oh, they're so close. Like, there's most of the tricks that were found originally by On Trigger in the community, and then they were optimized and improved by Room Filler and Bouncy, I believe the other name was, and even like last week was posted how close they are to finding something but still can't. Like literally 2 skips were found in chapter 3 and 11 like a week ago, and I'm like, I don't know if I have time to learn this stuff.
I think that Room Filler were funny enough were actually the videos that we had saw, and I will say one part of chapter 1 that I thought was so fascinating that you guys were able to just completely skip was, when you're going into Grandma Bunny house, and because that's normally where you get your hooks. And the fact that you were able to completely skip past it and then basically start into chapter 2 where you already have them, I didn't even think that was possible. So when I did see that, I was like, wow, this is amazing. But I love that it didn't, because of that, it still let you guys get the hooks, even though you completely bypassed where you technically go get them. So I was very, very happy for that.
I think the only thing that would really kill me about having to skip and go out of bounds in a game like this is the amazing music for so many of the stages in this game. I had such a blast listening to the gorgeous soundtrack for this game.
So fun.
I think that's the only con of speedrunning in general. Just if the game has a great soundtrack, you're gonna miss out on some bangers.
Yeah, you have to end up bypassing so much of it. And so, fun fact about our soundtrack. It was actually, all of our music was actually recorded in Nashville, Tennessee at the RC studios there. And because I only live a couple hours from Nashville, I actually got to go up there while we were recording our music. And it was just such a wonderful experience.
We can glitch our way right through that. Okay, continue.
Oh, awesome. So... yeah, and I got to hear the different singers, just recording, and like the children's choir, and it was such a wonderful experience. Funny enough, the singer of the Rougarou song is actually the kids choir coordinator for kind of all the kids choir that you hear throughout the game. He has a very close relationship with the kids because he kind of grew up with their parents in the church and then, ended up teaching them choir. So it's a lot of the folks that kind of worked on the music and the soundtrack knew each other and had worked together in some capacity. And it was just such a magical experience. And you could really feel, I think, the magic in the room. And most of them didn't even know when they recorded what they were recording for. It was kind of that little meeting that we had with them when we introduced the game and said, hey, you guys, this whole time you'd been recording music for this game. And they thought it was so cool.
That's absolutely incredible. Oh my God. And Woogaroo was, I think, my favorite track in the entire game.
Same. Although I will say that I definitely, and it's always so funny because, you spend all these months like ahead of game release and you're like singing the songs and then you actually, once the rest of the world hears them, and it's really cool to like hear about what people's favorite songs are and what songs really touch them. And I know that the song that's coming up, that's going to be coming up here shortly, is definitely people's another favorite.
I'm a personal fan of Two Toe Tom's song.
Oh yeah,
Two Toe Tom is great. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yes. And Namu is speeding through the formerly enslaved quarters, this kind of little village that we have here. And this is where Hazel finds kind of another set of her powers.
There they are. Gotta follow.
As you can see, I'm doing a bit of maneuvering by dodging forward and doing an attack at the end. That is our fastest way of maneuvering through the levels.
Times like these make me really thankful for the lack of stamina bars because that would be a lot more difficult, needless to say.
Oh my God,
I'm so glad she did not have a stamina bar.
Same.
The Souls player in me is like, please, no stamina bar.
Oh, listen. And it's so funny because I will say that's kind of one of the common misconceptions about South of Midnight, kind of, prior to launch, is that people thought it was a Souls-like, and being on the marketing team, we really had to make sort of this conscious effort to, market the game in a way that was like, okay, this is a third-person action adventure. It's not a Souls-like. Think more, Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Think more 2018 God of War. Things like that. Instead of Souls-like. Souls-likes are amazing. But I think that now, because of kind of that more, maybe that recency bias, people see kind of more difficult combat and they kind of think, Souls-like. But thankfully, no stamina bars in this.
That's one of the things I remember.
Probably led to like the Souls-like thing, but if people aren't familiar with Southern folklore, and a lot of it kind of just has that Souls-like atmosphere.
Yeah, true. Yeah, absolutely. The aesthetic of it. Thor, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I remember playing this and I was like, it's a Souls-like. And I was like, this isn't a Souls-like. I was like, this is very fun combat, but. I actually had a question because I know it was one that I was unfamiliar with, but I was hoping you could explain what is a haint? Because that's the enemies you're fighting in this game, but to like the audience, what is a haint?
Yeah, so a haint, there's sort of the legends of haint comes from Gullah-Geechee folklore, which are the people of South Carolina, basically the descendants, formerly enslaved folks, and the descendants of the formerly enslaved folks around the kind of the Carolinas and into the Georgia, the lowlands country, as we like to call it. And what they basically are is they're kind of like this evil spirit, or like this kind of amalgamation of like evil energy, and they're said to basically feed on people's sort of life forces, I guess, and the way that you're intended to keep them out of your homes or kind of keep yourself safe is basically to paint your porches, doorways, haint blue, because they're afraid of water, and the painting it on your ceilings or kind of in your doorways, it makes them think they're looking at the reflection of water, so they'll stay away. They're also said to be able to be captured in these bright kind of cobalt blue bottles. And then you can either send them down the river in these bottles, or you can leave them out in the sun where they will be burned up by the sun. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And essentially what, and it's kind of its place in South of Midnight is there is this grand tapestry of the universe. And when something corrupts that grand tapestry, it kind of throws everything out of whack. So what Hazel is trying to do, and while also obviously searching for her mother, is she is, clearing this stigma and essentially trying to repair or reweave the grand tapestry. And that's why you see these kind of moments like we just saw back there where she kind of reweaved that bridge. That was kind of that echo of the past and kind of this part of this tapestry that she essentially reweaves along her journey. And that is why all of our combat in the game is kind of set to these like sort of stigma-filled arenas that are filled with hates. And
that'll make things a lot easier from now on.
That makes so much more sense, and I'm so glad for the background because like I feel like that's a much easier explanation for me, just trying to explain that to people. So thank you so much for taking that time to do so.
Yeah, I will say it was really also cool with, our game came out about a week or two before Sinners, and there were people that had shared with us and had shared with us across socials that they were like, wow, I went and saw Sinners and I was able, when they talked about hates, I was like, I know what that is because I played South of Midnight, and it made me so happy, especially, me being a Black woman from the South. I would just any sort of promotion of our culture that we can get, like, I'll take.
I'm gonna cut you off real quick. So this is our first like major out of bounds. We're doing something we call dash launch, which we dash forward and then attack. And you'll see as soon as she wants to dash forward. So we go high in the air and we go out of bounds. And this is where it gets scary because I have to be careful. There's a lot of places where I cannot get out of. Or like that, fall back down to the very beginning and have to do it again. And this is when you have to be really careful because once we go out of bounds, you're just surrounded by pockets and pools of death everywhere.
I would definitely be too scared.
Like, oh, you broke the game. You gotta die now.
Yeah. As example, this. So we want to be careful. Also, I'm attempting a skip that I actually literally learned earlier today because the normal the normal skip you go, well, I should say this chapter's been revamped a lot. And the skip that I learned previously, it was simple. And then 2 weeks ago, a new version was found. And it's still simple, but like I said, I literally learned it today. So we're going to go this way.
Fingers crossed.
And
I'm so curious to see
not
it.
fall down there. That's the one thing about it. A lot of these tricks, unfortunately, are very punishing if you don't stick the landing. Between falling out of bounds to where you can't get out of it, or dying and respawning either at the beginning of the trick, the beginning of the chapter. It's not fun. There's been so many times that I've had a trick just not work because Hazel done fall and into the abyss. And I'm like, all right.
Oh,
so normally we go to the right.
Beautiful.
We're going to go to the left. And
is it to avoid the random pocket or?
No, it's just apparently this is faster.
Oh.
It was that the new one that you had just learned earlier today?
Yes, this is all new.
Okay, awesome.
Oh my god.
So
that is
we're
our further
gonna
hint.
get out of this fight by selecting our difficulty and resetting ourselves.
Oh,
and
love it.
What?
Then we're just gonna avoid everything.
I love a good fight reset.
And fight is gone.
I love a good reset.
I gotta say, considering the fact that the Hurler Haint is in my opinion, one of the most annoying characters to fight.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad that you were able to skip that.
What's the one with the tiny little hands? He's the one that aggravates me.
Are you referring to like the kind of the more default ones that you tend to see in greater quantities, like the first one that you encounter?
I think the Haint can guard like other enemies or something. I don't know. He does something to control other Haints. And it makes it.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you're talking about the healer Haint. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god,
Benji,
that Haint right there.
And we're at Benji.
We're at Benji.
We didn't even say hi to
Everybody wave
Catfish.
hi.
I learned that trick earlier today, so
Oh, sweet Benji, my sweet Benji.
we're gonna skip activating Benji by climbing up his roots instead.
And for those that have not seen a kind of a standard playthrough or have played South of Midnight, Benji's kind of area is not even a boss fight to begin with. So this is actually the one that you can't. Maybe that's why you actually can't skip it, since it's not a boss fight. Now that I think about it, but yeah, sweet Benji, we would never harm Benji.
Nah,
I was gonna say this storyline almost had me bawling.
I remember when, playing through early access, everybody that got to Benji was like, I really hope I don't have to fight him. And we were all like relieved that we didn't have to.
Absolutely. No, it's this segment got a lot of people.
Oh my God. Did your kids stop? Like, oh, okay, no, you didn't.
Okay.
She's levitating?
Like, oh, no. Oh, that was a nice save.
I've never spawned there. I'm confused.
New strat.
That's not where I would like to spawn, but I'll take it. There are worse locations to respawn.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's funny because this was the segment that did not get me personally, but every time I watch people play it and seeing people's reaction to it and them start to tear up, that's what gets me. Honestly, that's kind of how a lot of the game functions for me nowadays. Is it didn't get to me, but seeing other people react to it.
For some reason, it's eating my
got
jump
it.
input.
I swear, every single big story beat, I was like close to bawling, and I'm like, whenever it would start unraveling, I'm like, not again, where's the tissues?
Yeah, you definitely have to keep them on standby. Thankfully, because we're getting to skip a lot of the stuff in the speed run, that we're not gonna be traumatizing people at home. So I think they should be okay this time.
I think one of the most impressive things about this game, honestly, was it was the environmental storytelling and also the visualization of the Deep South as fantasy. And I really, really loved how they transformed something that I've never actually seen in that genre before in such a way. It was really quite magical, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because so funny enough, our creative director David Sears, we actually graduated from the same college in Mississippi. We went to our same alma mater, University of Southern Mississippi, and the concept of this game was love letter to the South, and it's not one of those settings that you see explored very often. You'll sometimes see it in TV and movies, but really not often in games, and especially kind of showing it in this kind of Southern Gothic fantastical kind of way, and it made it really cool because we took multiple research trips kind of down. I mean, obviously I live here. I'm a Southern native, but the team took so many research trips down to the South just to really get a feel for everything. We're stuck.
You can do it, Hazel. We believe.
I was hoping you were going to be able to get out of it because you didn't fall.
She's not going to do that.
It's hilarious. Between not reading my input and getting stuck.
I gotta be honest though, if you try to traverse a lot of the wilderness out here in the South, like that's probably about the same kind of like reaction that would happen. You would be getting stuck in things, and yeah, it's it's realistic. We're just being super realistic. We have to immerse you.
Do I get to hyper twirl like that though? Like that's the real question. I mean, it's worth it if I can do the hyper twirl.
Here we go. Yes, awesome.
Let's go.
I can't tell you how many times those thorny vines hemmed me up. I cannot. I'm not even gonna admit that.
Those remind me of those things that if you used to be playing in the backyard as a kid and you'd step on one, it would just stick to your sock.
God.
Yes. We call those sticklebergs.
The pain.
Just unlocked a memory. I repressed that for a reason. And since we're talking about the aesthetics, I really liked how some people were just like, where are we? I'm like, the South is not a specific place. Like, I like how different areas in the South are represented. Like the giant peach, I'm like, we're now in Georgia.
Yeah, and that is honestly another common kind of misconception. A lot of people think that it takes place in kind of one area, like they think it's Louisiana or Florida or something, and they're not wrong. I mean, they're still technically correct, but it's an amalgamation of sort of these iconic regions and kind of biomes across the South that are present in, I think, a lot more places than people realize. I think people think like swamp and bayou and they automatically think Louisiana, but there's, you can get swamps and bayous in Florida and in other places, in Mississippi, and it's but a lot of people have noticed that, obviously, especially folks that are from the region or like have family there, is they catch on to that.
I'll say this, I don't think I realized that until you just said it to me directly. Like that's fascinating, and honestly makes me have a whole new appreciation for this, because it's not just one area, like you said, it's an amalgamation.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating.
And even though, Hazel herself is from a kind of fictional town called Prospero, Mississippi, but the sort of the whole of the game takes place kind of over this kind of, like I said, this made up amalgamation of those kind of iconic regions. And it's, but with still very, realistic kind of, environments, and kudzu totally covers everything like that down here. I remember when I used to live in Mississippi. I'm in Tennessee now, but I live right next to a kudzu forest, and it's like you can't even see the ground because it's just completely covered in vines, and it's kind of creepy in a way because you wonder what's underneath it, and so I didn't go in it, needless to say.
I feel like that's something you don't really see here in the north. Like I never see stuff like that. Like usually our forests are pretty tame. But like I've never seen something like that where the vines are just running like that.
It's a good thing because kudzu
incredible.
is definitely an invasive species. It should not be here. So it definitely took over, and it was so hard to they couldn't get rid of it. So that's why it just is covering everything. I actually think it came from
this
China
is terrible.
originally.
So what I'm trying to do right now is use the wall riding that we got here to jump on top to skip the next section. But it's so hard aiming properly because you don't have the camera on your side.
Yep.
And having to jump at an angle because once you fly, Hazel just goes in that direction.
And correct me if I'm wrong,
Would you like us to
the wall running, sorry, my memory's a little rusty. The wall running, I almost want to say the controls are slightly inverted when you are doing the wall running, which I can imagine.
I'm going to actually just move on.
Let's do it. I think that would be good for the sake of time, just to save some seconds.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I definitely couldn't do those wall jumps. Like
Again, I see so much stuff that other people can end up having issues with, and I'm like, I literally have the same issue, and I worked on it, so don't feel too bad. and so I can see where trying to angle that and do that correctly would give somebody trouble for sure.
Nah, literally, like I said, I literally learned all of this a week ago, so it's still I know how to do it, but it's just not 100%.
Oh yeah,
and
it's one of those
that
things.
One's so the hardest ones for me.
Yeah.
I will say I was shocked when Namu confirmed she was gonna speedrun this, because Namu hates platformers. But I guess the mix of not always
I'm not a fan.
Namu is as someone who plays platformers and absolutely loves them, feels like I'm really good at them. Namu hates them. I will never forget I was playing a Shantae game and Namu was just like, good luck. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I hate platformers. We had to do a sub goal to get her to play a Sonic game. But you wouldn't be able to tell by how she's speedrunning South of Midnight with some of these platformer sections.
I'm shocked. I am quite shocked because I would never have guessed.
Yeah, no, I don't like platformers. I'm just terrible.
I feel like the tech you're doing here is way more complicated than Sonic games.
Listen, that's all I'm saying.
As somebody who has lost many a Sonic race against Pop, I feel like you'd be good.
Yeah, no, Namu hates platformers. So when she said she was speedrunning this, I was just like, it didn't click until after. I was like, wait a minute.
That's a platformer.
It's a platformer.
All right, we
she still hates them, but she loves this game.
Right.
Oh.
I remember when the game actually just looked like this, at one point. It was just this is what it looked like.
We're pretty much skipping this whole chapter by going on the water.
Also, is the white light you doing the dash into the attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Namu, do you have a favorite character in this game? Like, besides the main character, were there any characters that you really just loved learning about?
Rue.
That
like him.
tracks.
He reminded me a lot of Dr. Facilier from, Princess and the Frog. So, I enjoyed his character.
That's a real common one we get. Real quick, I will say that this area right here, and we obviously do not have time to look because Namu is moving. Those little gravestones that are in this area actually do have members of our team's names on them. They're very much still alive, but they just wanted to put them. I realized I had to give that disclaimer when I was telling people that, and I was like, I don't want people thinking anything happened to them, but it's just kind of a fun little Easter egg. There's kind of different areas of the game that I'll kind of point out as we kind of go through where if they're nearby, if there's any of the places with the names on them. So
I love when devs throw a little bit of themselves into something just
same.
as like a little watermark. I think it's one of the best parts of exploring these games.
And for those of you at home that were not aware, the character that is Namu's other favorite, Rue, is actually voiced by the legendary, the great Ahmed Best. Fantastic man. I had the pleasure of getting to work with him and just get to meet him in person the first time that I went up to Montreal to visit our kind of our office. And he's a wonderful guy, and he's just so great. He put so much love into this game because he was also our mocap director as well.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the voice of Jar Jar, right?
Yep, that's correct. That is the
Oh my
Jar Jar
God, that's
Binks.
amazing.
Absolutely. And funny enough, Jar Jar was
love
my
that.
favorite Star Wars character growing up. I kid you not. So when I showed up to one of our mocap shoots where I met him and my teammates had told me that that's who that was, and I thought they were trolling. I thought they were lying. I was like, "You're lying." And they're like, "No, we're serious. That's him." And I was like. And I told him, I was like, "Sir, I had so many Jar Jar Binks bath toys. You have no idea." And I was like, I told him, I was like, you made my childhood. Thank you for that. And he's so humble and down to earth. And it's really, really awesome. But I do get a lot of the comparisons like about the Rue and Dr. Facilier. And he's definitely a community favorite for sure. And we're just still going under the water and just dashing right through.
Yeah.
This chapter,
I feel like this
really
wade in the
went
water
through
on a
a
whole new
lot of changes. Before we learned this huge out of bounds, we did most of this chapter, and at one point it was just skipping Two-Toe Tom, and then someone discovered that we could just swim underwater and skip the entire chapter towards the end. Now, this is probably one of the most unforgiving chapters. If you die in the middle of this skip, you will start all the way in the beginning. It's very unfortunate. And a run reset. We are technically surrounded by pools and pools and pools of death. So we have to go this specific path. And when we get to the end, it's a little bit more forgiving, but still a chance that your respawn is not on your side. One time, in the midst of skipping Two-Toe Tom's boss itself, I respawned into the middle of that boss, which was super unfortunate. Because there's no way to get out of that and get back to the skip.
You mean literally in the middle of him? You spawned in the middle of Tom?
Oh, no.
You'll see.
Oh gosh!
I'm skipping onto a whole bunch of stuff and doing a lot of platforming, and I just happened to not stick the landing, and the respawn, instead of taking me back to where it normally would take me, it took me to the boss fight instead. And I was like, all right.
You know,
That was
And,
the charged action from the game itself.
I was like, you're gonna do this, boss.
it's even worse realizing that you're just literally dashing underneath just a whole bunch of, as people like to call it, doo-doo water, because this is very much water filled with obviously hurricane debris and runoff from the pig farm. So
Yup, that was an area. That was an area.
you could smell through the screen. And I always say that it looks like hot and sour soup. I just wish it tasted like it because I know it is.
Oh my God.
Oh, nice strat through
And,
the sunflower fields.
To anybody tuning in, by the way, you're watching Black in a Flash Summer Speedrunning Celebration Juneteenth. If you want to learn more, type an exclamation mark Juneteenth in chat for the full schedule and visit gdq.gg/BAF or visit our Blue Sky to learn how you can get involved with Black in a Flash community. We're so happy to have you here, and we hope you're enjoying the wonderful run through of South of Midnight Weaver run here with Super Namu and company.
All right, now we're in the boss. Here's spraying that respawn is nice.
To ease the tension, I do have a question. Granted, this is not super serious, but still related to the game. Whose idea was it to put the cow on the roof? Namu already powered past that part, but
You know, oh gosh, I gotta try to remember whose idea it was to put the cow on the roof. But it's so funny because we have somebody on our team that has intense beef with that cow, and I'll tell you why. So our principal lighting artist, Miguel, wonderful guy, he was just the reason he does not like that cow is because, you know, in that segment with just, you know, you've got the sunlight or the sunset kind of shining past, like beautiful lighting, and he's like, it's gonna get overshadowed by that cow on the roof. And unfortunately it did, because everybody's, you know, concerned about trying to rescue the cow, and you had so many people that asked us, like, can we save it? Is there a way to like get it off of there? And unfortunately there's not. But yeah, basically he feels like his thunder was stolen by the cow. So there's like kind of long-standing beef. But I want to say it was actually our art team that decided to put them up there, if I'm not mistaken, that decided to put it up there.
okay.
I mean, it's definitely long-standing beef if it's been standing on that roof that long.
All right, runs over.
I didn't listen. Honestly, when I said that, it didn't even.
All right, that's Tuto Tom.
Beautiful.
GG's.
Was that two-toed Tom John Cena? Because I didn't see him
At all.
Okay.
But now I
request
wonder
a new
though.
host?
Wow, not the double request of a new host. PT, they're blaming me now.
I wonder now though if since you completely bypassed Tom, does that mean that the pig that was in Tom's belly is not rescued?
No, we just passed him. He's on the other side of this.
He
this
was?
door.
Okay, I didn't see him. I missed him. I think I may have blinked too long. Okay, good. Because I was gonna feel bad. I was like, no, we left him in there.
This is one of the few cutscenes that we cannot skip, unfortunately. So you get a little bit of story. This is our mom. You kind of saw her for like 5 seconds in the beginning, and then also T-posing out of bounds. So this is our mom,
asserting her dominance.
Lacey.
And the reason why it's prompting this kind of unskippable cutscene here is just because during that segment with Two-Toed Tom that we had skipped, it basically shows Two-Toed Tom destroying our double wide, our trailer. So, you know, Hazel at this point is feeling a lot of frustration just from having found her house, but not having actually found her mother. And here comes good old Catfish to the rescue to try to comfort her. I love Catfish.
Catfish was definitely like one of my favorite voice acting bits for this game.
Well, and it's funny because, you know, there's some, and I'm trying to figure out where that rumor came from, but I had seen people kind of talking about how they were like, yeah, they said that they got Catfish's voice actor like off the street, and like and I was like, where did that rumor start? Because he's very much a voice actor. He's also an auctioneer and a cattle rancher, funny enough. He's a wonderful guy.
Wow.
Yeah, right. He's a jack of all trades, and I mean, like in terms of like cattle rancher, he knows how to.
I'm gonna have to deviate real quick because
go for it.
The skip that I had taken earlier, I didn't get the floof that I needed in order to upgrade to get an ability. Yeah. And with me learning that skip earlier today, I don't know what the replacement is, so I need to get that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But continue as we skip this fight.
Yeah, no, I guess it didn't dawn on me that you will need some of those abilities that you do have to pay for with the floofs to even get some places, I think, throughout the game. So that does make a lot of sense.
Nice fishing spot.
But he's like a complete cattle rancher, like knows how to do the lasso and everything. It's cool. So I don't know where that rumor came from, and we're back underwater.
We had to take that specific pathway because it is literally covered in death.
not death.
Yeah. If I were to deviate just a little bit on that shore, I would die instantly. So we need to go all the way down and then jump in the water, and then we can start swimming again.
The irony of, throughout the game, Hazel can't really swim, but for the speed run, Hazel has to swim.
Absolutely. She's just ignoring all of the debris. And I noticed she's still covered in all of the pig excrement from from the last area. So
we basically want to stay on the shoreline here, but we want to get up into the grass here because back there is death. But now we should be fine.
I will say this is a very
get too
scenic
close to
and
the
pretty
water.
shortcut. It's really nice.
See, like, this game makes me want to visit the South, like, a lot more often and just find these areas that inspired this. Like, that's the thing I really love about this, is it shows how colorful it is, and I don't know, it's got a real beauty to it.
Well, don't come to Charlotte, North Carolina. There's nothing.
Okay, minus Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte is too, metro for.
It's very urban, yeah. I will say I do like Charlotte for the urban stuff that it does have there in like the metropolitan area. But the really cool thing is you can see a lot of this stuff. So this area is like kind of this woody mountainous area. There's surprisingly a lot of pines throughout the South, which is one of the main reasons why the springtime is absolute nightmare for me because my allergies. I did not have allergy issues till I moved to the South, but you can find a lot of this in kind of the state parks and stuff. I do heed a word of caution. Please do not come down here anytime soon or anytime near the summer. I am boiling alive down here right now. I mean, granted, I think it's
Grandma
hot
Bunny's
places.
house.
And we
You
skip
still didn't get to see Grandma Bunny.
Yeah, in our defense, I don't think we need to see her anyway. And we have the new outfit. Yeah.
Yep, we took a shower and now we're a magical girl.
And change clothes, yeah. I will say the outfits were probably one of my favorite things.
Absolutely. This one's my favorite.
Especially that last outfit.
Yeah,
oh
the
my
last
God.
one is the hairstyle in the last one.
Oh, yes, the hairstyle. But I really like this outfit here, though.
I think I ended up showing that to my fiance, and I was like, "You gonna play the game?" Say, "I'm gonna get it."
Yeah, this is one of the outfits. It's definitely a crowd favorite. We've definitely had our fair share of as we like to call it, casual Hazel cosplays. But I'm looking forward to the first flood outfit Hazel. That'll be a nice treat to see.
And so it was with Bunny's baby.
Oh no, we can't skip past one of the most depressing parts.
Yeah, another scene we cannot skip.
Oh God, yeah, this one was definitely depressing. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Bunny. So this is Hazel's grandmother using the Benji tree's heart, which is actually funny enough. The Benji trees is, even though it's not a dedicated creature in like Southern folklore, that is kind of a reference to the folklore, the Appalachian folklore about trees and how trees supposedly have souls and spirits. But yeah, she essentially stole Benji's heart to be able to seal her baby that Hazel's father, deceased father, Trey, when they were children, he accidentally drowned her in the water, trying to clean her dress. And Bunny very much had a favorite child, which was her daughter, and that is why she sealed her in the tree to essentially keep her alive. And Bunny's a very damaged individual. We'll put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this is where it goes really, really downhill for me with the tricks. I have the hardest time with the next platforming. And it's not even hard. I'm like super heavy-handed on my keyboard and my mouse. So I be overshooting. Inputs don't be read. It's a time.
I'm sorry, did you just say you're doing this on keyboard and mouse?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know that. And now I'm like, you're doing, I have not played this full game with mouse and keyboard. And
I'm glad I didn't say anything. These reactions are great.
Like, I've never used a keyboard and mouse for any game that I didn't have to, and
Same.
this is not the game I ever would have chosen for keyboard and mouse. You're brave.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can we get some kudos in chat? Because, like, wow.
I couldn't play this
I
game
think
with mouse and keyboard without having to walk specific paths or fall into a death pocket, let alone having to be mindful of the death pockets that are like a 0.5 millimeter to your right or left on either side.
Actually, right here in front of me, if I go too straight, I will die. So I have to go this way.
See what I mean?
And that's one of our movements there. We do a dash, a jump. Then we glide, and before the glide ends, we do an aerial rend. I think that's the ground stomp. And then that lets us fly again. That is one of the major movements that we have to use in order to get to most areas from this point on. And it took me forever to figure out how to do that because I didn't know that if you let the glide go through the entire animation, you won't be able to glide again. So I wasn't able to do any of these tricks until someone told me, it's like, oh yeah, you need to stop gliding. And I'm like, oh, okay. Ever since
It's
then,
almost like a jump
it's been
cancel.
so much easier. Also, by
Yeah,
doing the
no,
skip,
I'm
we are
not-
skipping through most of the chapter's town, the village that Laurent is from, and his jukebox and everything. Like, we're skipping all that and going straight to the ending. And we're flying.
Essentially
So
it.
now we're a true magical girl.
Right. It's essentially skipping the entire. There's like a little mill town that's there because this is an area that's is basically a sort of a play on the Appalachians and kind of the really foresty areas of the Appalachians. But it's this little kind of mill town. It's a former mill town rather, pretty dilapidated and pretty old and abandoned.
So, Namu, I think I found why you don't like platformers. You're playing them on keyboard and mouse.
Whoa! It makes sense now.
just saying. Just saying.
This skip that I'm doing has been revamped a couple of times as well. This area is pretty scary because this has a lot of not pools of death, but the abyss is everywhere. And if I fall in the wrong area, unfortunately, I would have to do the entire skip again, which is takes a long time. So I have to be really careful to not fall on the other side of this rock. Okay.
Nice.
Now
Well done.
we have to make sure not to fall on the other side of this fence, which is not too bad. Because I think if it doesn't work, we should be generally fine. I have never fallen that way, but I don't want to find out.
Yeah, it's best not to know.
Okay, that's the first part of the skip. So now we're at what is this place called?
This is technically the lumber mill.
Yes, we're here and we're
where they
skipping through that as well. Kind of. We're more so climbing it. This is probably one of the platforming banes of my existence. The amount of hours I spent on this rooftop, falling to my death.
I can imagine. I mean, just like honestly, because there's so many different kind of twisted vines and stuff around the rooftop of the building, and some corruption, and it's this. I can imagine that this would be a complete like run nightmare when you're trying to skip past it.
This just seems like a collision nightmare.
Absolutely.
Like I don't even think I'd try it. Like
I
no.
just reminded Namu that she hates platformers.
Oh my god, I almost
Oh gosh,
died.
good save.
Oh my
That
god.
save.
I have a headache
Wow.
from that.
Oh no.
Jeez. I think
I
my
was worried
heart is
for
just
you.
like
I was-
in my throat.
See, like
The
I had
biggest relief
such.
about that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go on.
I was
You-
gonna
I've
say
been
the
talking
biggest
a lot, take
relief
it.
is when Namu was learning this specific skip. We were just like, no, you could do it, you could do it. And she finally did it, and now seeing her do it without all the blunders before, like seeing the the process itself is so cool.
Also, I'm just saying, Rougarou gives me major like Ganondorf vibes in the most awesome of ways, and I just love this fight. I love the music, I love the design, I love the actual fight itself. Like everything about it is just grade A, amazing.
It is my hands down my favorite boss fight and my favorite of our creature songs, and it's so funny seeing folks' reactions, playing through this area and like finding out about Laurent, and they're like finding those journal entries or readables, and people are like speculating, they were like, oh, is he a vampire? What's going on? I know a vampire when I see one, and it's seeing that kind of reaction, and then people finding out that he's actually a rare owl. And I know folks have kind of wondered, well, why with us having a Rougarou, why did we decide to go with an owl and not a rare wolf? Oh, and this is the part in kind of his phase where he kicks up that dust tornado, and there was actually a glitch where he got locked out of the tornado and he just wouldn't come in. So they were just perpetually like in the storm. But in French Canadian folklore, the Rougarou can actually take the form of different animals, including the owl. So that's where we decided to kind of put our own little French Canadian twist, since our studio is based out of Montreal.
I think that was one of the things that really surprised me when like getting my hands on this game, was finding out that it was the main studio was predominantly in Canada. I was shocked by that, and just the attention to detail and the care taken to really represent a story and diverse peoples throughout the game. It just was really enlightening and really wonderful to see the kind of work that people can do when they work with others and work with communities to make games about topics like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, we at Compulsion, like we had, so many people on our team that either were from the South or used to live there or had family there, writers, artists, myself. And, one thing that the studio was always very good at was acknowledging, what they didn't know, what we didn't know, and what we needed to, like, when we needed to bring in others who had these lived experiences or who could, attest to these stories, to this folklore. Because so much of the history in the South is, passed down by word of mouth. And but we knew what we didn't know, and we knew when we needed to bring people in, and we knew we brought in the right people on this. And I think that we did a really good job at doing right by folks from the region, and that makes me very, very happy and very, very proud, because it's not always gotten right and it's not always done right. So,
I mean, I was gonna say, do you mind if I ask one more question?
Absolutely, no, go for it.
Did you have like a favorite group that you had a chance to work with during the making of this game that you learned a lot about something on?
Definitely.
Like if you can't answer that, that's totally fine. I'm just curious.
No, yeah. Well, we definitely learned a lot from like the kind of the different consultants that we tapped into, Sweet Baby and even like Donna Washington, who Donna Washington she's actually a professional storyteller. She basically acts as a griot and is essentially her job is to go around telling people stories and immersing them in folklore about like Southern folklore, about like Brer Rabbit and just different aspects of folklore. And we brought her to the office to basically spend a couple of days just immersing the team completely in folklore, in these stories, and she contributed to the project so much. And but I mean, even just from talking with people on the team who would spend their summers in the South that were maybe from the Midwest, which is, as I like to call, the Diet South, it was such a labor of love from everybody, and people treated it with so much intention. And now we are headed to the Witch's Nose Mountain.
GG, Namu. GG.
Great job.
That's a solid fight, actually. And the fact that I didn't die or fall into pools of abyss was actually really a relief. Because those are one of the scarier, consequential chapters. Big consequences. So now we're going to be skipping the wind tunnels by jumping on the trees.
So now we're using the pine trees.
Yes.
If I did this, I would be sneezing the entire time.
Oh God.
Those allergies, though. I understand.
Or Benadryl.
I'm definitely I have to take a once a day kind of Claritin that I take as kind of a preventative to prevent anything from happening.
And just like with the other out of bounds, we're skipping. I wouldn't say we're skipping most of the chapter, but we're skipping the next like 2 wind tunnels by doing this.
Which is never a bad thing, because man, those wind tunnels. Again, that's kind of another part that I don't even want to tell you how much trouble I had with those at one point. They definitely gave me a run for my money.
The part that you skipped, I think that I had the most problem with was honestly some of those runs after bosses or boss-like areas where you had to run to the tree. I died on those so much. Like, I think I had one where I spent maybe a good 30 minutes just trying to get the jumps right on it, and it wasn't hard. I just was very bad at it.
And this area,
so I can't even
is kind of the like, you know, is kind of like a in-between area, right? Of headed, you know, we just left Rougarou's kind of layers, as you could call it, and now we're headed to kind of the next boss area. So it's kind of like this weird kind of very small kind of area where you just kind of have to transition to the next one, and with all these wind tunnels and all the thorns.
all those pesky little thorns.
So I do want to say it's funny that you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's say it's funny that you mentioned the background for the game, because anytime someone's just like, so what did you think about the game? People who listen to their relatives about the South wrote a story about the South. And hearing like you describe the process, I'm like, that's exactly what happened. And I love to hear it. I'm glad that when I describe it that way, it's like 100% accurate, because that's what it felt like. I'm like, yeah, someone definitely sat down at grandma's house and listened to everything she had to say.
100%, 110%. And, you know, there were even times where, and obviously like I came onto the project, you know, everything was basically set at that point. But there would even be times where, you know, we may have to check about like even like dialect, right? Even though, you know, like Hazel's voice actor, Zajian Ray, she has family from the Carolinas. But like, you know, it was like with Miss Pearl, sweet Miss Pearl at one of our neighbors at the beginning of the game, you know, letting them know like, hey, letting the team like know that, hey, you know, it's the way that you address typically your elders a lot of times is like Miss or Mr. or Mrs. and then their first name, not their last name, but their first name. It's like this weird thing, but people picked up on that, right? People picked up on kind of those little dialogue cues, and it's I think it makes a difference when the things that you write and the things that you create are done with intention, and that's one thing that Compulsion really wanted to do, was make sure that there was a lot of intention and care about it, especially because it's a game about empathy and understanding and healing in a lot of ways. So
I don't think I realized like just how much went into vocal dialect coaching until I think it was one of my friends, Meadow of the Twitch Women's Guild, the Twitch Unity Guilds, actually ended up doing some training for a theater jam that they were in charge of and that they were putting on. And I just remember my fiance going through some of that and just learning about the small little intricacies of how somebody says something and how it can completely change depending on the region or where in the world you are and how it sounds. And it was amazing. So I know for this game, I mean, there must have been a lot, because the dialogue in this is just so unique from most things I've ever heard in a game due to the area it's in. And it's also an area that's not really touched on. So I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that.
Yeah, and that's the really kind of cool thing about it, right? Is that the people that we brought in for the project to do the voices were basically, you know, there were people from the region or basically had, you know, kind of spent those summers. So, and obviously like Ahmed Best like worked heavily with our cast and crew and stuff. But you know, some of that coaching was, yeah, obviously you need, I think, vocal coaching regardless of if you're from an area or not, right? I think in a lot of ways, but I think it definitely helped that we made sure we brought in people that like had these ties and kind of connections to it, but it was really cool to see the process for sure. And funny enough, our Haints were actually voiced by metal singers.
What?
Yeah,
that is cool. So cool.
Yep. And it's there's basically a group of folks called the Monster Factory out of Montreal that do. They're metal singers, and they do these voices, and they do it for so many different games. They've got so many different games under their belt and their apps. They're such wonderful people, but they just did these incredible voices. And we had somebody from our team did the voice of Crouton. So, and the same person.
I hope this leads outside.
That's amazing. Wow. I never, honestly, I'm going to say I never would have thought about metal singers.
Metal singers
Namu
are a lot of zombies
sorry.
a lot of times. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Namu is speeding through this run.
She
Look,
is.
already on chapter 9?
I was just like, you're already at Molly's lair. Wow, we're here.
The skip in this chapter originally, before it got revamped, was probably one of the most frustrating. You have to cross the river that's right before you meet Itchy. We skip that now, which is great because it's such a convoluted skip. Once you get across the river, you have to go around the mountain like 2 times to skip the fight and everything. Now we just do this. If I could do it first try. We actually land on that tree right there and use that platform. There's an invisible platform next to the tree. So you get all the way to the fight over there.
No, well, I'll wait.
But the platform's so small.
Can I ask, Namu, do you have a favorite area visually in this game?
The Kushma's Cabaret area.
Oh, yeah.
That and the music.
Yeah.
That's how we skip that.
Nicely done on that little jump. Oh my
man,
God.
Beautiful.
Now we're gonna manipulate by doing our difficulty again to skip the fight. We're gonna jump here and go into this corner here to do another dash launch. But the dash launch it's consistent, but the height is inconsistent, if that makes sense.
I'm totally stealing that skip of the battle arena when I have to go into the game and like check something. I'm totally stealing that. So thank you.
If I was very lucky, I could have gotten a huge dash launch.
It is in action games.
And actually land up there. There's an invisible wall on top of this tree up here, and I can skip all of that, but that's only if I can get the dash launch properly. Okay, and that's how you skip the cutscene for Hug and Molly.
My heart stopped.
Mine's too. I never get that first try.
I was clenched. I was worried.
Like, oh my God. I just imagine some speedrunners just, walking into every wall, like at every angle. Like I talked to a QA tester once, and he told me, yeah, I just gotta bang all the surfaces with like a hammer or something and see if they break. It's like, oh my God.
As I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm realizing, I'm like, man, maybe, on the QA front, because I remember like specifically being instructed, and even though I don't work in QA, when we got a wonderful QA team that we worked with, like testing the game at one point and basically being instructed to try to break it. And I'm like, you know what? Putting speedrunners on your payroll is actually not that bad of an idea because they will find a way to break something. I'm really seeing the value of that now, and I'm so fascinated.
Yeah. Right now we're going to be skipping Hug and Molly's cave by jumping on this tree and then jumping on the rock up here. And you'll see the rest if I can successfully platform.
Platform with mouse and keyboard.
You gotta love it. You can't be.
I've been wondering why my keyboard's been failing me, and it might be because of this game.
I'll mail you a new one.
It's Donald Duck. Will you be able to replace my Donald Duck keyboard?
I just need some GDQ keycaps, please, and thank you.
All right, this is where it gets really, really hard. I can't see. My second monitor is really dark. So I pray that I see this nothingness here. I don't know what this is. In order to light my way. I can see it on my other monitor, but obviously I can't look at my other monitor right now. But my main monitor is super dark, so I'm literally praying that I don't go off the edge here. And I have to use landmarks that I see. Like, I don't know. Don't pay attention to the texture of the ground there. Don't pay attention to the texture of the sky either.
It's fine. Listen, it's dark on my screen and I've got a bright screen.
Yeah.
So that's my first landmark, is all that sparkles there. So I know I need to keep going forward. And the next opening I see will be the one I need to go to.
We are in the shadow realm right
which
now.
is here. And then we're at a waterfall here. Go up against the rock. And that is how you skip the first part of Molly's Cave.
Wow. You know what? I think this was my favorite area. I think it was this one.
This is a cautionary tale about why you should not go into caves, in my personal opinion.
And that was the
Listen,
second half of Molly's Cave.
I'm just saying, if a cave has a bunch of colorful giant bottles, I'm going in. You can't stop me.
And it's funny because I love the aesthetic of the cave, just kind of this, this alchemical kind of lab that Molly has, and I will say this has enough space to where I think I would feel a little bit more comfortable. It's the tight spaces that are the ones that are claustrophobia inducing.
Yeah, as someone that does have claustrophobia, I was appreciative that the cave wasn't like super small.
Same. I wish that I could remember the exact geological term for this structure, this type of structure in a cave. I know stalactites and stalagmites, but I know that's probably not one of them. But I wish I knew exactly what this kind of structure was.
I can never remember which one is stalagmites and which one's stalactites.
Me neither. I know one's ceiling and one's, I think, floor. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't stalagmites from the bottom and stalactites from the top?
Maybe. Can somebody confirm in chat? We have any geologists?
We need somebody who likes rocks, please. Thank you.
Rock fans in chat. Fans of caves.
Makes me wish I actually paid attention to the rock conversation at the summer program I was a part of.
Okay, here's our boss.
NC Gover School.
Again, Molly. This boss has changed twice. If Molly's super nice, then you'll get to see something really cool. We're gonna treat this like how the fight normally goes. Throw potions at her face. Throw the second potion at her face.
That's not very nice. Okay, we did get confirmation that that's a good, thank you for their how to remember that. Tights hang on tight, so they're sealing. Okay, I will remember that. Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
Look at chat.
And
That's another good one.
We didn't get it. Okay.
Tight for ceiling and then the G for ground.
Got it. Oh, thank you guys so much. We had a bug here at one point in time where the bottles would spawn into the crevices, and then people would be basically kind of stun locked in the fight. And then we thankfully fixed it, but it was definitely we couldn't figure out what was happening, and then we realized that we did some investigating and we found out that they were falling into the crevices.
I just find it fascinating the fact that you can get on her back like that and she launches you.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. But it doesn't work every time, which is very unfortunate.
Is there some type of triggering action that gets it to work, or is it just chance?
I don't even know how it works. I want to be honest about that. I didn't find this trick. I just follow.
You know what? That's a mood, though. I feel like that's the best part about speedrunning. You don't have to know how it works, just how to do it. And, that's the best.
But
unless you're the one that figured out how to do it.
Whoa. What was that?
Oh.
Okay, that's what I want.
Wow.
That's what I want.
Nice.
What?
Now we're headed up there to the mysterious thing in jars.
We're going to go there. And that's Hugging Molly.
Oh,
What?
That's beautiful,
Nice.
beautiful.
Oh my
That's
God.
wild. I'm honestly speechless. That was wild.
That was beautiful, beautiful, and I love that it worked the first time. Unfortunately, I wish that in doing this that we could save Molly from her fate.
Right.
I know. Oh, it was always the most painful part of this. Was just like, no.
Darn you, Grandma.
Like, I think that was one of the really cool things about this game, without spoiling too much, was just seeing how Hazel's misconceptions or things that she didn't know, like, kind of unfolded and unwrapped. And it was kind of like, you know, there's reasons why you may not know certain things, or there's a reason why certain people are leery of other people. But, like, seeing how the story in general unwrapped for me was like the really big thing that made me love this game, is that it unfolded in a way that felt like the pacing was great. How do I put this? The pacing did it well. It made the story very enjoyable for how it unfolded it, and it didn't give you too much at any one time, but really made you search out the world. It's environmental storytelling as well.
What just happened so fast I couldn't even check what it was, like sliding off.
Not yeeting her. Oh my God.
Now in chapter 10.
And there goes Mom. But she's okay. We're just gonna.
Mama's alive. Mama's alive.
Unlike the person who got yeeted off that cliff.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're fine. Just, you know, call them in the morning.
Totally fine.
Mama? How did you...
Now, in that segment that we skipped, we end up seeing that Molly was, in fact, not trying to, as we previously thought, hurt Lacey, Hazel's mother, and was actually trying to help her. But then, you know, good old Grandma Bunny just had to come in and rain on everybody's parade. And, you know, due to her kind of overall goal that we won't talk about just yet, but her kind of overarching goal, she ends up, like, basically, unfortunately, killing Molly to sort of get a body part that she needed from her. And Grandma Bunny is definitely not a favorite of the community. Grandma Bunny and Rhubarb have been getting cussed out very thoroughly by, it's my son. I love my son.
And there he was. All right.
Bunny is why we can't have nice things.
I'm going to say that this chapter is also one of the banes of my existence. It's not hard, but like I said, I'm so heavy-handed on the keyboard that nothing ever goes my way. So I'm going to jump on these flowers and jump over here, and we're going to pray. Oh, I pray too hard.
Oh my God, do I pray? I feel if this is the chapter I think it was, I think this was like one of the most emotional chapters for me.
Yes, I was going to say it's heavy. It gives you trouble because Namu's heavy-handed, but it's also a heavy-hearted chapter. So it's for multiple reasons. It's probably a bit of a lot.
Okay, that's the first part.
And also, by the way, you know, if you're enjoying this run and you've come in towards the middle and you want to see it as the night unfolds and as we end up here at the end of this run, GDQ does indeed have a YouTube where you can catch up on past HotFix shows, special events, and GDQ marathons over on the youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and make sure you turn on those notifications so you can stay up to date with GDQ, and because there's a lot of events coming up, lots of fun things, and we'd love to have you catching all the action.
I got she kind of just slid off. I didn't even move. She just slid.
Oof. There's a little too much moss on that tree.
Ooh. She is stuck. Okay, there we go.
Okay, but like moss is one of the most slippery surface covers ever. Like,
absolutely.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Oh no. Trying to save it, but it didn't work.
I love how that's like one of the more universal sounds to falling is ooh, because that's literally how I sound when I fall in this game. Ooh.
That's how I sound when I fall in real life. Just like, whoop. Like, if you've ever gone skating, you know that feeling.
100%. And listen, it's so hard to see these branches. So the fact that you're, landing on them and maneuvering through it, because it's so dark in this
Just know that my butt was clenched there.
I bet.
Because that's not a fun location.
My butt was clenched and I'm not even playing.
Oh my God, I almost died there.
That was a nice save.
I think I became even more clenched upon finding out that she's playing on mouse and keyboard. That's still.
Oh, God.
I'm still not over that.
He's just been nervous ever since, just like fully sat up.
Yes.
Please turn, camera. Okay. That whole set of skips took me forever to learn because I just could not stick the landing on all of those. And the original version of it was super hard, but it was revamped like towards the end and made it easier. And I thank God for that. Because to this day, I still don't know how to do the other version of the skip.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful mural of Mahalia, who is the last Weaver. That's actually one of Hazel's ancestors, and she's a kind of a further away descendant of Mahalia, but she is essentially passing her hooks off to Hazel in this, and little readables she's finding along the way are kind of are little readables that Mahalia essentially left. Oh, sweet baby honey.
Oh,
Hello, honey.
my favorite character. Like, oh, I love them.
Honey
For
is
those of you
precious.
that don't know, this character is like an actual, just the best character.
He's so sweet, and we, needless to say, we were able to skip it, thankfully, because that would have taken us a bit of time. But the way that we kind of get introduced to Honey, we end up playing hide and go seek with him. It's such a
forgot
precious
about that.
little yep, such a precious
Like,
little.
I really like the way in that segment how your character just, it's not just a game task. It's like actually getting to know a bit about Hazel and the people around her,
Yeah.
and how she interacts with him, despite like not having siblings or anything like that. Like, she's so caring and warm, and I think it allows us to see a part of Hazel that we up to this point haven't really seen in the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and just having how she, interacts with just kind of this mysterious creature, and how gentle she is with him, and oh, sweet baby.
This was a very traumatizing chapter, storyline wise, and getting through. This is the chapter where I said that I learned to skip today as well. So we're gonna try it.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
We're gonna try to skip that I learned this morning.
Hopefully we can skip this dramatic parts of this, because no feels.
Thank you, honey.
No feels trip. Everybody's
Don't say no feels on this chapter.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be the no feels run.
That's actually the perfect name. For
Everyone has
this.
a happy ending.
No feels run.
But no, this is the chapter that got me the crack. Like, I choked up on the other ones. I was able to thug tier my way through the other ones, but I actually I cracked on this one.
This was the one that brought like the most burly looking grown men you could think of to tears, like that you would not expect to crack under that, and they did. And it was just, this is one of the other chapters that gets me, right? And I mean, it got me like by itself, like when I, with my own time with it, but then seeing other people, it get to them, that breaks me too. I start crying because I see other people crying at this part, and I know it's in a way it's good tears, but it's still just like, man. And we're back underwater.
Not for long though.
Water. I feel like this was the part of the game that I would go and lurk. After I finished, I just started lurking in my friends' channels to see how they would react, and I'd clip them because it was just so great seeing how people reacted to like the entire thing.
Oh man, I saw just a breadth, and funny enough, I'm actually getting ready in the next couple of weeks. Since I'm actually the one that runs our socials, like I'm fully like just collecting like little clips of people reacting to this part in particular, and just the tears. There's been so much crying collectively from everybody, and I've been just going around passing out tissues in people's streams. I'm like, here, I'm sorry. So sorry we did this to you.
And speaking of wonderful, wonderful things, like I think the thing that really sets this part above and beyond is just the music that they use for like every single part of this game, but like this level, it sets the tone perfectly.
And the singer of the song of this area is actually originally from Trinidad. So they very much wanted our composer Olivier de Rivière, who also did some other game soundtracks like Vampire and A Plague Tale and Streets of Rage 4. Awesome, good job. He really wanted kind of, given obviously how the story is kind of told here, he wanted that kind of the sound that was kind of reminiscent of, kind of the origins of the character of this story and kind of that same feel. And to talk about, the pain and sorrow and grief. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we kind of see more. Everyone say thank you, honey.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you, honey.
He's so helpful.
There we go. Thanks.
And we're doing another battle arena skip right here. Man, these
speaking
huge
of
trees come in handy. I'm sorry, Thor.
No, you're good.
That we skip the original skip. This is where we would meet up with the original skip. So now we're gonna do what the normal skip of this is. Jumping over here, and we're essentially going backwards because I believe you're supposed to go the opposite way storyline wise. But we're about to go to one of the hardest jumps originally before it was more optimized later on. Normally we have to jump on this tree and pray. This time we just jump and fly and pray. Don't go into any invisible walls. And there we go. That's the rest of that chapter.
Let's go.
Nice. Jeez.
There's also a way to skip all of this by damage abusing your way through the thorns, but I don't have full health, and this is Weaver category, so I don't want to risk it.
That's fair. I think that's a good call.
fair.
That's fair.
And speaking of which, if you're just coming on in, welcome to the Black in a Flash Juneteenth Celebration Day 3. For those of you who don't know what Black in a Flash is, it's a community that uplifts and connects Black speedrunners of all levels, hosting special events throughout the year to raise money for charity and celebrate Black voices in speedrunning scene. Learn more or apply to get involved at gdq.gg/BAF and follow at blackinaflash.bluesky social on Blue Sky for the latest updates. And who knows, maybe we'll see you up here.
Another peculiar land. Searching for her.
And so what we're seeing right here is we are seeing the Altamahaha, who is actually Ayotunde, who was a enslaved woman who escaped from this large steamboat. Essentially, her and her baby jumped to safety. And we see more of this extremely sad story, and we just saw, Honey is actually Ayotunde's baby, the baby that she is tearing kind of the whole swamp apart and tore the steamboat apart to look for her baby.
Still might be dangerous.
That part just, it breaks me every time I
The
song,
music too,
man,
like
the
Jesus.
Song. Yeah, I was about to say the song is, oh God. Be still my heart.
Stay put. She might not recognize.
I was gonna say, I was like, hope we can skip that. Jeez.
Yeah.
Thank God.
right? Oh.
So in that part, Ayotunde is reunited with Honey because a mom is always going to recognize her baby, and she recognized that Honey was her baby, and they reunited and they turned back into themselves, and and it's a very touching moment that she gets reunited with her baby. But that is why we do not fight the Alta Mahaha. She's similar to Benji in that regard. We won't hurt her.
How do I get to Christmas from here?
So can I ask, like, who was in charge of those storybook interludes, I guess you'd call them? Who did those? Because those are some of my favorites, and I love the artwork on those.
Yeah, so we actually, kind of in the way that our kind of disciplines are broke up, we have like a 3D art team, and then we have like a 2D art team, and obviously we have like enviro art and different things like that. But our 2D art team, so they worked on kind of those little storyboarding, or the storybook kind of interludes, and like the signage throughout the game. And to the right there, in that kind of little corner that Namu just passed, we do have a little portrait. If you're ever in this part of the game, take a look at a lot of the signage and stuff that's kind of in this little antique shop. But in that little corner there is actually the cockatiel of our realization director for South of Midnight. His name is Gaston. The little cockatiel's name is Gaston.
I want to break in and say this is the bane of my existence again. Okay.
Oh. More Banes.
But also your favorite part of the game.
Yeah.
Yes, favorite part, and also a lot of people's favorite outfit as well.
Oh yes, this is my favorite outfit for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, our realization director, Maxime, actually is currently bravely fighting cancer right now. And we put, there's actually a tribute that he left to his family at the kind of the end credits of the game. But we wanted to kind of do a tribute to him. So we put a little Gaston, his pet cockatiel, that's there in that kind of image. So if you're ever in that antique shop, you'll find some really cool signage, but also say hello to Gaston.
That is incredible, and I don't think I ever would have known that.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing that with
Yeah.
us.
Oh, I'm scared.
You got
You can do it. You can do it.
I've seen you do it. You can do it.
I'm so scared of platforming. All right, we made it.
Good job.
All right, next chapter.
She made it with mouse and keyboard too, by the way. I'm gonna keep emphasizing that.
Like my head hurts from how stressed I am from that jump.
Are you sure the tears are not just held back because you know what happens? Like, are you sure it's not from the previous chapter?
Yeah, it's an accumulation of everything.
And now I do got to ask one more. The artist in me is wondering, when you all design, or when the team designed these houses, were the colors on the houses inspired by like houses in the areas that you
By the
were
way, there's
visiting
no
or
Kushima.
taking a look at?
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm hearing the Kushima chase music, and I'm like, but there is no Kushima. Yeah.
There's no Kushima.
So yeah, a lot of these colors that you're seeing actually on these buildings is actually reminiscent of those same colors. So obviously this area, it's probably very obvious, but this area that Namu is currently going through, the town on the tapestry, is very much reminiscent of New Orleans, kind of French Quarter style New Orleans. And you will absolutely see those little kind of apartments where you'll see like a bar or like a store in the kind of the lower areas, or in the lower level, and then on the upper area there's an apartment that somebody lives
There's
in
Kushma.
there, and there's Kushma. So yeah, they're very reminiscent of some of those same, a lot of the colors that you see kind of the buildings are. It's very similar or basically identical to the sort of dwellings that you'll see in these regions.
Gotcha. Wow.
French
See,
Quarters is very colorful, and the
Very.
thing about the French Quarter is, like, New Orleans is actually split by Canal Street, so you have the Spanish side and then the French side, and you can tell when you're walking through downtown New Orleans based on the signs. Some of the signs will be in French, and then other signs will be in Spanish, and it represents how the city was split in half, based on how at one point Spain owned it, and then at another point France owned it, and then the U.S. bought it. So
Absolutely, and there's actually very similar architecture in Viejo San Juan and Old San Juan in Puerto Rico as well. Very reminiscent.
same thing with Haiti. I've met like a couple of people from Haiti who are just like, you know what, New Orleans is literally just a Caribbean city sitting in the middle of the U.S.
Fair enough. Yeah. I could definitely see the similarities of that.
Yeah.
I just had to ask because I feel like a lot of people who predominantly lived up north don't really think about the South in terms of like how colorful it can be, and it's one of those things that I didn't really know about until more recently myself.
I'm the same. I'm from New York, and even though I live in North Carolina, I don't know anything about the South like that. This game taught me a lot more than I knew.
I love that.
I'm right there with you.
That makes me so happy to hear, and I love that it was, in so many ways it was such a positive representation of it, because there's so much beauty here, and there's so much more than the unfortunate parts of the history of the South.
Here's Crouton.
And my son. Oh, goodbye, son.
You'll never see him again.
That was it. That was the last we'll see of him.
His magnificent appearance.
Mama's okay.
Thank you for your help, Crouton.
And there's Kushma again. And so what Namu ended up skipping through a lot of this is kind of going through the town on the tapestry. There's some different battle arenas through there. And there's a lot of kind of back and forth kind of navigating that you have to do through this area anyway. But we did, if I'm not mistaken, you did skip the actual Kushma's cabaret performance, which is really Rue coming out and doing his little song and dance with Hazel, and which was another thing that was really cool to see. I actually do plan to. We'll be sharing that on our socials soon, kind of our little behind the scenes video of kind of Ahmed, and because Ahmed obviously plays Rue, and Ahmed did the mocap for Rue. So we will be dropping soon our little kind of behind the scenes of that little Christmas cabaret, the little cool little show tune dance segment that they did there.
I can't wait.
Okay, so we're coming up to the boss fight, which unfortunately in the Weaver category, enemies are extremely harder, and have more health and everything. And this fight generally takes 20 minutes if I don't die. But
you know what?
That's just easy. You don't die.
Exactly. And plus, you've got some wonderful peeps on your couch. So you know what? You do all the hard work, and we got this.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah.
So this boss that Namu is currently fighting right now is Kushma, who is the story of Kushma is essentially Kushma is the Cajun sleep paralysis demon. So if you've ever had sleep paralysis, you may have been caught by Kushma. And essentially in this fight, Kushma basically spawns just a bunch of different kind of archetypes of Haints throughout the fight. Then you'll sometimes get those little kind of dodge kind of attacks that you'll have to do when he kind of slams his little tendrils down and stuff. But most of this boss fight is just fighting kind of the different waves of the different Haints.
Those little handed Haints that just attacked earlier, those ones, I can't stand those ones.
Now,
Me either.
funny enough, originally the way that we designed the combat, if you did not unravel the Haints in enough time, they would just regenerate. We had it like that at first. I kind of wish we would have kept
wondering.
it. I kind of wish we would have kept it. It definitely made it a lot trickier, that's for sure.
I feel like my ADHD self would have been like, man, this battle's been going on for an hour. What's going on?
Right? It's never ending. And then you're like, oh, wait. Oh, are you talking about them? You talking about that Haint, right?
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
Oh, my God. They were the worst.
Yep. He is healing, trying to heal the other one.
It's a shame we can't use our battle skip here.
Man, this would save so much time if we could. Maybe they'll find one day. Hopefully, maybe there's a way.
There is a way to skip this, but it soft locks us, which is unfortunate.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
So what does it look like if you are able with the skip? If you were able to do this,
I haven't done it. It was found by a room filler who's part of the community, and I believe it skips all the fight, but there's nothing to do here, and you can just stand here. Something along the lines of that.
Interesting.
Just sit here and hang out with Kushma. It's fine.
You know, minus the no sleep part, he seems pretty chill. Oh.
Now this nasty
I feel.
thing, hate it.
Oh god, these things were awful. The little hive spawners.
I mean, what's an RPG without hives? You gotta have wasp or killer bees somewhere.
Man, you're right. You're right. I can't be mad by that.
Yeah, it's,
How unfortunate.
it's mandatory.
Now, the one thing I certainly hope is that after this, Namu gets a good break for their hands, because this fight seems like it would be brutal.
Absolutely.
On mouse and keyboard, yeah.
On mouse and keyboard.
And by the way, for all you peeps here, if you're enjoying the fantastic show, did you know that you can support this Juneteenth show and more with merch? That's right, GDQ has merch, and check out the Juneteenth collection from our partners at the Yeti and Tantrum, featuring the return of Link to the Flash, cute Joy stickers and drinkware, plus Hyperjoy. And all purchases made will help Black and Flash continue to put on the events you love, like Back to Black and maybe even more HotFix. Type !Yeti and !Tantrum in chat to check out the collections, because I know I sure have, and my wallet is crying. Yes!
How about these? I think these are really the worst enemies.
Oh, hands down, they're definitely the hurler haints are definitely, in my opinion, the most annoying. And for those of you that may be wondering why one of them had a blue health bar, that was because Hazel has a spell where you can actually make haints fight for you, and that was what that haint was doing, even though she was definitely still beating it up, of course. But yeah, you can actually kind of make them fight for you a little bit. And then we, of course, have the good old tank. Love that guy. You see that arm? I know he throws a mean, like, fastball with that one arm.
Just never missed arm day at the gym.
At all. Well, I mean, not with that arm. I mean, the other one, he might have definitely, but...
Yeah.
It's like he
was just like,
is just right arm day.
You know, he was gonna work on it tomorrow, okay? He didn't expect to be caught in battle. It's been a 6-month regimen.
We need a health filament. Yep. Listen, the tracking. He has some very good tracking.
Yes, he does.
I'm not gonna lie, he messed up a lot of my runs. Like, I had to take control of him with Crouton on many occasions.
Oh, I bet.
Like, I was like, you're gonna kill everything for me, and then I'm going to kill you.
Nice. Good save.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got some incredible tracking, especially for a tank. It's you wouldn't expect a big brute like that to kind of move that well, I think.
I call him Sonic the Bull Cog because he just kind of rolls out of nowhere.
Yeah.
All right, third phase. And it's
A
unfortunate
tank being
my
able
health is
to
low.
track was super interesting to see, because I was expecting something like that from the hurler.
Sorry, Pop.
I like to just go in a circle here to avoid everything.
I was saying that the tank tracking was interesting because I was expecting that from the hurler.
Oh, absolutely.
I was not ready through this.
This part gave me anxiety.
You know, in a way, I'm realizing now. I think it took me seeing another person doing this to kind of make me realize that it's a circular battle arena, and with him kind of laying his tendrils down, it almost kind of looks like the hands of a clock. And there is a part in this that we didn't skip, where you are going through the clock tower. So that's interesting. I actually need to find out if that was intentional, because I don't know.
I was kind of curious on if there was a time element to that, because like I looked at the stage and it does. I mean, it's got all the phases of a clock pretty much.
Yep.
So
it probably was. There were a bunch of little tidbits like that were very, very much intentional. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I'd be very curious if you learn. If you're able to share it, I'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely, 100%. I would definitely find out and let you know for sure.
Now, this is my favorite part of the song here is when it goes in this dun, 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 I love this.
It sounds so show tuney, and I just love it.
Yeah, it definitely reminded me
love
of
a good show, too.
Porgy and Bess.
Yeah.
I had George Gershwin a whole lot.
You know, you're so right. I didn't even put two and two together. It does remind me a lot of that.
Yep.
Yeah, the battle music, when I first heard it, I was like, why does this use the same motive from It Ain't Necessary? So I'm just like, why am I hearing Porgy and Bess? Am I haunted? Because my both of my vocal teachers I have all three of my degrees are in music, and when I did voice, both of my teachers actually performed Porgy and Bess. Well, all three of them. One of them passed away. But they all performed Porgy and Bess at the Met.
Oh my goodness.
And so
Wow.
when I heard that motive in this game, I'm just like, you know what, maybe the next time we all have like coffee or whatever, or do like an alumni thing, I'm like, I gotta show them this. Just like, here's how y'all have haunted me with this specific opera.
That was the memory of one of your teachers keeping it, staying alive, and just that's how I like to think of it, at least.
Leave it to Doc Pop to teach us the music.
Oh, absolutely.
I did like the different styles of jazz, because people were just like, it's like all of this isn't New Orleans jazz. I was like, no, if there's no clarinet, this is not New Orleans jazz. When you hear the clarinet, that's us. If there's no clarinet, that's a different part of the South.
Well, and it's so...
See,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
I never would have caught that. No, I was just going to say, I never would have caught that. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, and even
if you ever... Oh, sorry. If you ever visit New Orleans and go to like one of the local performances at any one of the venues, you're always going to see a clarinet player as a part of the band doing one of the solos.
And there's actually, funny enough, a really big jazz scene even in Montreal.
Oh my god!
Having actually a good job.
I did not think I was going to do that. All right, last phase.
You're doing
Last
incredible.
one.
My hands are shaking.
Final phase.
Oh gosh.
Chat, can we see some hype here? Like, this is not an easy
Get it
fight.
going for the last phase of this Kushma fight, because he is going ham right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing the heartbeat is really adding to the intensity.
Oh man, yeah, right. Especially when you're
That
kind of hearing
thumpy
it beat
bass.
in your ears. Yeah. Ooh, nice jump. Nice dodge.
Like, I remember just getting to this and like, they're really throwing it down now.
Oh, absolutely. That was one thing that I will say kind of had me hemmed up sometimes. And I noticed other people, like earlier in the Tuto Tom fight, people will make the mistake of double jumping and then gliding, and then they get kind of caught up in the attacks. And I'm like, nope, you just gotta dodge. It was like, no jumping, because that's, I think out of like muscle memory, right? You think like double jump, dodge, and it's like, nope, you just gotta dodge. If you jump too high, it'll get you. And I've noticed that so many different attacks in this game, I think, work that kind of in that same essence. So it was definitely something I had to learn too. Look at Lacey over there doing her part. Go, mom, go.
She's the cheer squad. Let's go, mom.
She is over there trying to.
And at least it was at the beginning. Thankfully, I didn't get anywhere in that fight.
It's okay. It's like it didn't happen. Didn't even happen.
Yeah,
Exactly.
at least it was here and not at the very beginning.
Yeah, right. And that's one thing I will say I definitely appreciate in this is the fact that if you do die in combat, like it sets you back to that phase of the fight instead of making you start the whole entire thing over each time.
Like, going back to the whole thing of like you talking about how like this was not a Souls game. I remember when people were telling me originally and saying, "Oh, this is a Souls game." I was like, I really hope not, because I want to focus on the story, but also just having like the ability to have checkpoints in battles made it so much more fun to go and listen and just kind of take your time on these battles where you could. that it really helped me to enjoy overall the game a lot more than I think I otherwise would have.
Yeah, and I think that was one of kind of our main things, and kind of one of the biggest things for our gameplay director was, you know, not wanting, like, we still wanted to emphasize that, like, our story is kind of the focal point of this, right? And we didn't want combat to kind of outshine that. I know there's, you know, combat it's definitely repetitive in nature in a sense, but it's intended to kind of be complementary. There he goes. There's the little handsy one. It's intended to kind of be complementary to sort of the kind of the focal point or kind of the core of the game, which is kind of the narrative and kind of the environmental storytelling as well.
And I think that's one of the things that it does so well is the combat. It always adds something new, but it's also like, you know, one thing I'd never seen. And for those of you who might be like, I don't want to do combat in my games, there was actually options to just skip those parts. And so if you just wanted to enjoy the story, like I remember after I beat this, I went back and I just went through and like did most of the story without any combat. And it was a joy to do. Like it allowed me to just experience it.
Yeah, and it's and that's one thing I love that we even have that, you know, that accessibility, the accessibility of having the custom difficulties, to where there are some people who are, you know, my sister, you know, has been playing it, and she used to be super into games like I was, but she kind of outgrew it a little bit. So she's definitely, you know, she's a little rusty. So, but she was even able to pick this up and play it, and you know, I'm one of those people that's a firm believer that there is definitely a time and place, and there are certain games that, you know, and don't get me wrong, there's definitely challenges in South of Midnight, right? For sure, especially on the harder difficulties or when you're playing on mouse and keyboard like Namu is. But, you know, there's some games where it's just like this guy.
Oh my God.
So annoying. They are working together hard right now. You know, it was this game that we were kind of like, you know, we don't want to make this like kind of torturous, and we don't want to make this. And it's, if you want more torture, you can totally have that. You have the option of having that, but it's not mandatory. We actually had and even in terms of another note on kind of our accessibility, you know, with us having kind of the stop motion art treatment on it, it was actually more stop motion. We turned it down because we recognized that it was an accessibility issue, because unfortunately the stop motion effect does cause motion sickness for some people. So we ended up turning it down some from like,
we did it, fam.
Let's
Yay! Let's go.
Time is coming up. After our cutscene with Grandma Bunny, the moment the credits it's time. That was I got a migraine.
You did fantastic. And listen, your health was a little low there then, and there were no health filaments, but you stayed alive.
I don't know how I survived those two at the end.
Chat, can we see some GGs? Because, like,
GGs.
My God.
Let's give it up for Namu.
Like, what a way to pull in the end of the night.
All right.
There goes Grandma.
Survival.
Really?
There went Grandma and time.
And just, wow, what an incredible game with such an incredible couch and probably one of the most amazing mouse and keyboard runs of this game I've ever seen. Probably the only one. But can we give it up in chat for the wonderful Super Namu? Super Namu, not only have you put on such an amazing show, but for such an amazing game and had such amazing commentary, can you please take the time to tell us where people can find more of your amazing content and what you're working on, what you do, and where they can find you all around the internet. And yeah, thank you so much for putting this on. This was a blast to watch.
Yeah, so if you don't already know, I am Super Namu. You can find me at twitch.tv/supernamu or youtube.com/supernamugaming. I do stream on both channels. I play a variety of games, but I mainly focus on JRPGs and cozy games in the community with an occasional Overwatch every now and again. But yeah, I focus a lot on JRPGs. That's where my heart goes, and sometimes horror games too. But I am so happy to be able to run this game. This game came out in April, and I started learning immediately after beating it, and it's been like really important to me, even personally, because about a month ago, my cat had passed away. And she was with me the entire time playing this. Like, literally, seen on stream, she would sit in front of me on my desk as I played with this. So it was very hard to actually learn to run this after she passed, because it was kind of traumatizing. So it's kind of almost like a tribute to my cat as well, which is on a personal. But I also want to thank Katie and Pop for pulling up and doing this comms with me. It helped to keep me grounded because I was super nervous about really messing up, because chapter 2 and chapter 3 was not it, but my PB is an hour 42, and based off of the time I see, I'm only a minute after that, which is actually really great. So I'm happy about that. But you guys like to say anything about yourselves?
Yeah.
Well, first, sorry, I want to cut in real quick, Namu, and first of all, give my love to you for you losing your baby, and just want to say that I can absolutely relate. Through the development of South of Midnight, I was navigating losing both my dad and my oldest brother, and so I completely relate and understand about how kind of your tie to this game is kind of sentimental. So much love to you, and I think I speak for everybody on the couch when we give our condolences, when I say we offer our condolences. So
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as someone, I didn't get a chance to meet Lily in person, but I am gonna miss her meows pretty much anytime we say hello. But thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
yeah, and thank you so much for inviting me. I was so geeked when I saw the DM. Namu had reached out to me personally and invited me to do commentary for this, and I was so flattered. And so this was absolutely so much fun. Wonderful stream. You did absolutely fantastic. I'm still blown away at your run, and you did absolutely fantastic. And thank you guys so much for having me chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Happy Juneteenth, and thank you for Games Done Quick for organizing this and just for existing. You guys everybody's amazing. So thank you. I'm so happy to have been a part of this.
And
Yes.
I was gonna say, can they find you anywhere on the internet for both you and Pop? And is there anything else that you're working on before we head out of here?
You can find me pretty much all over. Admittedly, don't use Twitter as much as these days, kind of more Blue Sky Instagram. But you can find me at Pikachulita, which is just Pikachu and then LITA across most platforms. All I can really tell you guys is if you liked the run, go play South of Midnight. It is out now on Xbox and PC. Stay tuned for more updates for Compulsion Games.
And Pop?
I'm PopNoTarts all over the internet. I'm not on Blue Sky though. If you find someone on there, it's not me. I promise. I'm actually anti-social media. It's the bane of my existence. I just like it for memes sometimes.
Stay off of it.
As for things I'm working on, y'all will see me tomorrow. Well, not like actually see me. I'll be back tomorrow. This isn't the last of me, but I'm running tomorrow.
That's Pop's supervillain speech right there. You'll see me tomorrow. But
I got one more thing to say.
yeah, go for it, please.
Before
Please.
you go. Want to thank the community for South of Midnight speedrun community. On Trigger found a lot of the first initial skips for this game, and then Roomfiller, who I believe is in chat, has optimized majority of those and found more skips on top of that. And Bouncy also found optimization for a lot of the skips. So I'd like to thank them as well as the rest of the community for making this game really fun to run. And everyone should definitely go. If you want to join the Discord, go to speedrun.com and search for South of Midnight. And the link to Discord is through there. And it's small, but it's really fun to learn. And if you guys ever want to learn it, especially the any percent glitch category, there's plenty of help for that.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful run. And also a special thanks to each and every one of you at home coming out for day 3 of Juneteenth celebration. But we're not done just yet. We've got day 4, the final day, tomorrow. So make sure you come on out for that. And a thank you to everyone for supporting GDQ HotFix, your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits. Your contributions help to keep our shows running. And if you're enjoying the stream, consider subscribing for exclusive emotes, ad reviewing, and access to chat during replays. You can also always support the stream by sharing the Games Done Quick channel with your friends. And lastly, I am your host that is signing off for the night to send you to some wonderful peeps, Thormungandr. And if you want to catch some alternative controller playthroughs with potatoes and also some wild fun with steering wheels, DK bongos, DDR pads, and more, please make sure to stop on by. Love to see you. I'm also one of the leaders of the Twitch Black Unity Guild. So if you're looking for a place of black brilliance and wonderful like-minded peeps like you saw today, make sure you come and take a look. And thank you so